Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what Gibson does better than PRS. And yes, I know, despite the title, I just want to say I don't actually think that either one of these brands is actually better than the other. This video is just a part of a little series in which I just compare different guitar brands and just to see which one does better than the next, not actually that each brand is better than the next. And if you guys disagree with any one of my points, feel free to let me know in the comments and tell me why. But please be constructive and don't be rude about it. We're all here to have fun and talk about guitars. So thank you guys. But on with the video. The first thing that I really like about Gibsons is that they have great resale value. PRSs, on the other hand, also do have really good resale value, but they're not quite as good as the Gibson counterparts. Gibsons will typically hold their value a lot better, especially if they have all the original components and no modifications have been done to them. And before this video continues, I also want to say that there are 4 more days for me to reach 1,000 subscribers, and if I reach that goal, I will give away a free guitar. I'm thinking the budget's going to be around $800 to $1,000, that's excluding shipping, and it's going to be 100% on me within the continental United States. So let's reach 1,000 subscribers, and hey, maybe you can win a free guitar. One of my favorite things about Gibsons is that they have fret nibs. Now, if you watched the video I released yesterday, I actually talked about how fret nibs could be a bad thing. And that's because sometimes they can become brittle and sometimes they can break off, but really nothing beats the feeling of having fret nibs. If you don't know what fret nibs are, it's where the fret comes up and covers the side of the metal fret. That way you can actually feel the sides of the metal. Now, some guitars will have better fret ends like PRS. PRS has great fret ends, but some cheaper guitars don't. And they can kind of poke your hands, it's not super comfortable. But you're never going to have that issue with the Gibson because of these fret nibs. All you're feeling is just some smooth plastic instead of the sides of metal, which PRS has, because PRS does not have fret nibs. PRS does have fantastic quality control, and you're probably not going to find a PRS with some super sharp fret ends. So it's not super bad, but I don't think anything can really beat the feeling of fret nibs. Fret nibs. Another thing I like about Gibsons is I usually like the neck shape on Gibsons a lot more. This is a 79 Les Paul Customs. This one actually has a pretty thin neck, while this one has, it's almost D-shaped. I'm not exactly sure what the shape is called with this PRS neck, but it's not my favorite. And honestly, all the other PRSs I played, I love PRS. I love PRS guitars, but just the necks just don't really fit my hand super well, while most of the Gibsons I played do. My 50s standard Les Paul Gold Top over there has one of the best feeling necks I've ever felt. And that is a very thick neck, which is, it's all personal preference though. I personally really love the neck shape of Gibsons, but I don't quite love PRS's necks just as much. Again, that's something that's all personal preference. Let's talk about how they sound. If you guys watched my last video, you probably know that PRSs are one of the most versatile guitars out there. And that's a great thing. But I personally believe that what Gibson does well, it does better than PRS. Les Pauls specifically will have a very round, large, almost dark tone. And I think that sounds so good, especially on a nice high gain amp. While PRS, on the other hand, also does have a great sound under high gain. I just think that, a nice 80s hard rock, hair metal stuff just sounds better on a Gibson instrument. And if you take a Gibson SG here and compare it to a Les Paul, it definitely has a bit brighter of a tone, and I just still think it sounds a little bit better for the stuff I like to play than a PRS, regardless of how well-rounded these guitars are. Though Gibson also does cleans very well, I think I'll give cleans to PRS though. Now, this next pro towards Gibson is something that's definitely going to sound like an oxymoron. And that is, PRSs, and this is going to sound stupid, but I just think they're too perfect. Yes, I know, it sounds weird, but let me explain. Every single Gibson you play is going to feel a little bit different than the next. While every single PRS, if you pick up two of the exact same model, it's probably going to feel exactly the same. I also touched on this in my last video, but I think what makes Gibsons so fun is that you have to find the right one for you, because each one is going to feel different. You may pick up a Les Paul Gold Top and you love it, but then you pick up another Les Paul Gold Top and it's not right for you. It may take a really long time in order to find the correct Les Paul for you. The YouTuber Rhett Scholl talks about this a lot and why he likes Gibsons more than PRSs as well. PRS guitars are almost cookie cutter and they really do everything right, but I think this is what makes Gibson so special is that they're not perfect. I think it gives them more personality. And yes, again, that's just a personal preference thing, but I just think that's what makes Gibson special, is that they're not perfect. They have issues. Yeah, the tuning stability can be a little wonky sometimes. Sometimes the quality control isn't always the best, but I think that's what makes Gibsons so special. And talking about guitar personalities, I think these just have so much more mojo to them. They really just have that vibe to them, if that makes any sense. With Gibsons, you kind of have to dig into them and fight them a bit. And I think that makes them so much fun to play, while PRSs are so easy to play, the notes just kind of fall off of the guitar. And if that's something you like, that's completely fine. But I kind of like having to fight the instrument a bit. And it sounds weird, but I just think that's what Gibson does so well. They just have some of that mojo. The next thing I like about Gibsons is that each of their pickups has an independent volume and tone. That gives you the options to do a couple things. You can roll off the volume on one of the pickups, play a note, and I'm not plugged in right now, but you're able to kind of do a kill switch kind of sound. And you can't do that with a PRS because it only has one volume and one tone. Now sure, that kind of makes them a little bit more simple, and that's completely fine, but I also like how you have more independent control on a Gibson style instrument. Which is kind of goofy though, because I would still say PRSs are more well-rounded. And I look down at my list here, and that's about it. And I'm also looking at the why PRS is better than Gibson video and that list, and the list is actually kind of longer, but I still like Gibsons more, and that's a very interesting thing. That really goes to show how it's all just personal taste. As I stated in the beginning of the video, I don't actually think that either brand is better than the other. Personally, I just prefer Gibsons, and that's totally fine. I just think it's interesting to talk about what each brand does better than the other, and that's why this series was made. I think it's a really healthy thing to talk about things, even if you don't completely agree. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, feel free to click like, and if you loved it and you want to see more content from me, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.